Hello and welcome to another edition of Ask the AD. Brian Smoller with Director of Athletics Gene Taylor. Glad you could join us in this 2024 version of Ask the AD. It's been a few months, had the holiday break, and now we're back. We got plenty of stuff to wrap up, ending the season of football, and then basketball's underway. I thought I'd start first with what I'm sure you get a lot of around this time of year now that the bowl games are wrapping up, the playoff is wrapping up, serving on the CFP.
Yeah. Happy New Year to everybody, by the way, 2024. I will tell you, it was a great experience. It's a 3-year rotation. I'm off the committee now. There'll be another Big 12 rep being named here probably in March. But it was a tremendous experience. And the reason it was is you sit in the room with 13 individuals that they care about one thing, and it's college football. We don't represent our schools. We actually have a little tradition where we take our school colors off and put a black and white hat on, and we never wear any school colors while we're at the committee meetings. But it's just a really good group of individuals that all they want to do is try to get the best 25 week in and week out, and then obviously we get to the championship weekend and picking not only the Final Four but the top 12. And it was a great experience. Met some great athletic directors and individuals. People in the CFP staff were great, and it's been a lot of fun. And occasionally you get feedback from a fan or two that maybe didn't like your selection, but it's just part of the gig. And Boo Corrigan's been a tremendous leader for us, as Gary Barta was, and I've been very fortunate to be a part of the committee.
It's been pretty neat to get at least a roundabout way, the viewpoint of what your experience has been like through these Ask the AD moments where you've talked about it. The other big topic as we wrap up the postseason for college football is college football and its general status overall. Coaches have been pretty vocal here down the stretch about how it seems unsustainable, the schedule that hits them in December, especially if you're in a bowl or in a playoff. Do you see any radical changes on the horizon here?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, when we go to the 12-team playoff, things are going to change a great deal in terms of the preparation. And obviously I was, Chris Kleiman and I didn't coach, but at the FCS level, you go through a 16-game season, and that's what some of these teams are going to go through if they make the 12-team playoff. The bowl system, how is that going to work with the transfer portal is a big question. You saw so many opt-outs during the bowl season. Coaches trying to, put guys on the field that haven't played very much. And so it's going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be a conversation that will be brought up at the coaches convention coming up very shortly. It's a conversation as athletic directors we're starting to have with the bowl representatives. So we have to figure out something. I'm not sure what the answer is. There was still a lot of, the fun thing about it was you saw a lot of new faces achieve a lot of really good football stats and whatnot. But it's also a challenge for the coaches to prepare for that, not knowing who's going to be on their team.
Yeah, and who actually enacts that change? Is it the coaches that precipitate it, or is it Congress, or is it Charlie Baker? It feels like everyone says, yes, something's got to change, but actually who does it is the big
it's
question.
just the combination because, coaches have an opinion, athletic directors have an opinion. So it's going to be an interesting process the next few months.
All right, so as we turn the focus from the national scene to here local and our own neck of the woods here at Kansas State, we get into our questions today. And our first one is from @RockCat75, who says, and this is a tenor of a couple of questions that we had. He says, now that most of the athletic facilities have been updated, what are the plans for Bramlage Coliseum as far as remodeling or a new facility? RockCat75, new facility.
Easy,
Rockcat. Easy.
Obviously we touched on it a little bit with the Shamrock Zone. We came in and did some things with the club area and the suites, or not the suites, but the loge boxes. I think long term, that's probably something we'll look at. It was actually in our master plan to do some things to Bramlage. But I think right now we need to give our donors, from a facility perspective, a break on these massive projects. Doesn't mean it's not ever going to happen, and there's certainly upgrades we could make to Bramlage. But I think in the very near future, we're going to give our donors a break and take a step back from these massive facility projects. Doesn't mean we're not planning. We do need to do some things with our golf programs and our tennis programs. But I think Bramlage is good right now. We'll see what's in the future.
Yeah, tinkering with facilities certainly could be the possibility as you go through remodeling and maintenance and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Track just got finished up.
Absolutely. The indoor track is going to be a great addition for our track programs. Obviously, we'll get a chance to get in there this winter and have some meets. But it's really just another addition to our facilities. That when we started the capital campaign a couple of years ago, the goal was to touch every sport program and every athlete, and that's what we've done with our Building Champions campaign.
Yeah, pretty phenomenal facility for a phenomenal coach in Cliff Revelto, who's been here for a very long time. If you want to attend those track meets coming up here in the winter, those are not ticketed events. You can just go in and check it out. The seating has been put in fact, here as we speak this week. So check those out here coming up in the indoor. All right. Staying with Brandwood Coliseum, this comes from @Lon Ruger, who asks, have you had any interest in the naming rights of Brandwood Coliseum since selling them was announced?
Yeah, that's some pretty creative names there. @Lon Ruger, I like that. Was pretty good. We have had some interest. It's a process that takes a while, and the company that's working with us is out there in the market trying to figure out who's interested, what's the right market for that naming rights, what's the right price tag. We're not going to name it something that doesn't make a lot of sense, and if we don't find something that we're comfortable with or a company that we're comfortable with, then it'll stay Bramlage Coliseum. But they're still working at it, and there has been some pretty high interest, and we just gotta. It's going to take a time to go through that process.
Yeah, just not necessarily you kind of the payment for that. It's somebody else that's helping K-State out with that. All right, this question comes from @TurnKSU. It's two questions kind of combined. When should we expect the final 2024 football schedule to be released? And what is the philosophy on out-of-conference scheduling moving forward? Is there an emphasis on playing other Power 4 schools?
Well, first part of that question, there's a lot of us that want to know where that is. And it's complicated. But obviously, when you add the 4 new schools and then you've got 4 more coming in 2024, 2025, I mean, it gets complicated to build it. And so as a conference, we have submitted our information from the teams of what we've seen, that works. Now they take that information, they sit down with the TV partners. And the TV partners then decide what matchup they want to put where in terms of TV. And so that takes quite a while. We anticipate it should get out in December, in January. That's our conference feedback we had actually just today. We expect that to be coming out, but it is a complicated process. In regards to out of conference, I think we still are going to look at other Power 4 conference. That sounds weird. We're so used to Power 5, but we'll still look at other schools that aren't necessarily in our conference to fill our schedule. The interesting thing is going to be is as we go through again, how do we qualify for the 12-team playoff? What's the best route? As athletic directors, we're starting to say, is it a 10-game Power 4, Power 5 schedule, or is it a 9-game, just a conference schedule with a couple others? And that's some conversations we're continuing to have. Right now, it's still 10, and that's what's the 2024 schedule will look like. How it looks in the future, we'll see.
Yeah, very, and again, so many things still unknown as we go back to this conversation we had at the beginning. Difficult to know. It wouldn't be an Ask the AD show if we didn't have an alcohol question. So this comes from Ema Go Cats, who, in reference to the idea of selling alcohol and reentry, along the same lines, he's asked, can we sell these? And the picture was of the Wabash Easy Drinking Ale from Manhattan Brewing Company. Could we sell these inside Bramlage and the bill for sporting events to be an infinite money glitch for Wildcat NIL?
Fair question. Obviously, we have existing agreements with various beverage companies that limit our ability to bring in other groups, and this would be a group that wouldn't be part of our beverage agreements right now. I do think if somebody's interested in helping with NIL and our collective, there's certainly a lot of other ways to do that, and they could reach out to the collective and find out how they can support it, and I'd certainly encourage that. But that particular beverage would not be able to be sold because of our existing agreements.
Wildcat NIL has obviously taken a great step forward here and doing a lot of creative different ventures.
Really
and if you're interested in that, catsnil.com is the website you would want to go to for that to help out. So now it's become a more prominent fixture even on, as you watch broadcasts, you see even commercials for it.
Yeah, very big piece of what we need to do going forward.
All right, so from that we take, staying with basketball theme, this one comes from @Mr. Tossback, another creative name. Any jersey retirements taking place on Legends Day on January 20th? And if not, can you please convene a committee to supply a list to be scheduled over time?
Well, no, there aren't any scheduled for Legends Day. We think we've talked about this before. Certainly there are people deserving, and when that time is right, based on their schedule and their ability to get back for that recognition, I think that's certainly something we'll do. But we do look at it every year and see what's the right group and who's deserving. We do have a lot of deserving athletes, but it'll come in due time, and just based on the individuals that we're trying to recognize, their schedule, and our ability to make that work with them.
That's right. Just because it's not public doesn't mean there isn't a committee and doesn't mean there isn't a list.
Right.
It takes a lot of factors. All right, as we wrap things up, we end on a good one every time. We a fun one, and this one, why not? This one comes from at Brian J. Wenger and at Kansas One, who both ask, how many different flavors of Pop-Tarts did you eat in the last month, and what was your favorite Pop-Tart flavor?
Well, I was kind of being a little bit of a smart aleck. I put something out on X and said that I hadn't seen many Pop-Tarts. Well, believe me, I saw a lot of Pop-Tarts after that. The Pop-Tarts company and the Bowl were very creative. Showed up at my hotel room with about 50, 60 boxes of Pop-Tarts. And Pop-Tarts in the hospitality room, so it worked out, I guess. I didn't have a lot. I did try strawberry, I tried blueberry, and I tried the apple cinnamon. And I'm a fan of blueberry just because it's the closest to our colors. But there were a lot of Pop-Tarts, and if people want more, I know where to get some.
That's right, you do. Sound like here in Manhattan, the shelves were sold out of Pop-Tarts on the day of the game, and of course the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the most watched non-New Year's Six bowl of anyone on TV. Great exposure.
It was great exposure. Obviously, it was a great football game. Congratulations again to Coach Kleiman and our team. Champs, and then as we head in, we got two really good basketball teams to be watching too. And certainly the crowds have been great. We just need to continue to push those crowds to have them come to Bramlage because they got two really good basketball teams to watch.
Pretty fun times right now. We'll try not to take a mini-month break before our next Ask the AD, but thank you for doing this.
Appreciate it.
Gene Taylor, Director of Athletics, joining us. Keep those questions coming on X or on social media overall. For our next installment, for Preston Kerner, I'm Brian Smoller. Thank you for watching.